agree with Alan Greenspan, we ought to just eliminate the debt ceiling. Oh, absolutely. We do.
The ability of almost every working American to access more credit than they should have been able to masked the underlying fact that lower and middle class incomes were not rising.
That's not a tenable strategy. Isn't now the time to eliminate it? Oh, we've been a long time ago to eliminate it.
Let's put aside terrorism. Let's talk only about our own homegrown animals that are patrolling America right now. So it goes down to the simplest thing. Be prepared, be vigilant.
I don't even want to make a joke. I did 2 intros with like a little joke. I don't even want to make a joke. This morning, there are no jokes. There are no jokes. It's just total disgust. I've been warning you about this moment for a very long time. I've been warning you about Fort Sumter for a very long time. I've been warning you about civil unrest for a very long time. This Unite the Right group. Where did they come from? Who were they? You know, I thought about doing some kind of investigation, figuring out who the leaders of this, who put this thing together. It doesn't matter. What am I going to uncover? Something amazing? Am I going to uncover something diabolical? You know what you'll uncover? You'll uncover the fact that people are miserable. That's what you'll uncover. The fact that people in this nation are miserable, the fact that people in this nation are unchallenged, right? They sit around in their house and they worry about the color of their skin and they worry about the whatever little trinkets of this life they have. It's a disgrace. The whole thing's a disgrace. Both sides standing there staring at each other in hatred. What was accomplished? The sum of it all equals what? What was accomplished? What did we pull off as a people, as a nation yesterday? The sum of the accomplishments of the Unite the Right rally and the other maniacs who showed up to sort of fight them off or fend them off or whatever they were doing there. What were the accomplishments? 1 dead, 19 wounded? It's good. It's a good stat. We're getting somewhere. We're devolving at just the right pace that there'll be a war in the nation in no time. A war that no one wants over a statue. I see the weakest of the weak taking a front seat in this society. It's insane to me. In a time like this, you look to leadership. In a time like this, you look to leadership. And you say to yourself, when the people are so confused, and the people are so lost, and the people are so filled with animosity towards one another, so filled toward, this is what I don't understand. They're so filled with animosity towards one another. They don't even know anybody. They don't even know anybody. You don't know any. Who do you know? You hate everybody, but you don't know anybody. This is on both sides now. Right? It was very clear yesterday. There is no desire to converse. No, it's just, I hate you because you hit these 3 check boxes. You hate me because I hit these 3 check boxes. That's what we're dealing with in the country. It's the most shallow and insane thing I've ever seen. And now people are dying for it. Now we have people dying for it. And I'll tell you what. If we're going to have protests and counter-protests in this country, and let's be honest and call it what it is, if we're going to have riots and counter-riots now. See, it's a slippery slope, though. It's a slippery slope when you start enforcing these things on a regular basis. But I want to go back to leadership. Where was the leadership? What did the amazing leaders of the greatest nation in the world have to say? Well, if you didn't have a Twitter account, then you don't know. I can't take this. I can't do this. I can't do this. We're an evolved species that has made it through so much worse than statues and skin color. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, the mayor of Charlottesville, they're all putting out their thoughts on one of the most violent rallies we've seen in how many years on Twitter. And we wonder why the people are falling. How can the people be falling so hard so fast? Because the leadership is tweeting. They're tweeting. The most important moments in the history of the country, tweeting. Oh, it's an atrocity. Oh, it's just so sad. Where are they? If you have a rally, I need to see somebody at the rally. What's the big deal here? If you have a murderous rally of people, actually before it even gets out of hand, you need a leader there. You need a leader there. And if he's too scared to get hurt or whatever it is, then you're not a leader. Sorry. It's not a cushy job to lead 300 million people. It's not an easy job. It shouldn't be. Where's the leadership? They're behind the cell phone. Behind the cell phone, still trying to win points for the next election. We don't need that. We don't need this politics game anymore. They're doing nothing for us. People are getting run over by cars, and they're doing nothing for you. They're not for your cause. They don't even care about your cause. They care about followers. They care about brownie points. That's all it is. It's a terrifying thing. It's a disgusting moment. It's a moment that kept me up all night. I'm out here trying to walk the dogs. They don't even know. They're not even walking right. They know that I'm so upset. My one dog, she's a big giant bulldog. She's walking around like there's a werewolf in the woods going to eat her. She's terrified. She doesn't know what's going on. My whole energy is wrong. The whole thing is, it's like the Earth's poles have flipped. And I have to look people in the face and tell them that everything's cool. No, I'm good. No, I'm not good at all. There's nothing good. There's nothing good. The right has been attributed to this rally of racist people. And here's the thing, if they weren't racist before, they damn sure are looking that way now. Gotta be real careful. Gotta be real careful how we do this thing going forward. Because all we have now is gangs. We're building gangs in the nation. We're building gangs. We're going back to the gangs of New York. Right? Everybody wants a t-shirt. Everybody wants a group. Everybody wants a message. Everybody wants a cause that they can get behind. Because why? I'll tell you the answer. Your life. It's your life. It's your life. You want to blame your failings on others rather than just putting your head down and getting back to work. You want to blame your issues on others rather than fixing them. You want to blame the problems that you have on others rather than putting in the work and fixing your life. Rather than understanding that this is what life is. Right? Some people make it, some people don't. Some people live a good life, and guess what? Some people don't. You can't protest your way out of it. This is for the right, this is for the left, this is for the Black Lives Matter, this is for the Unite the Right genocidal morons who show up with... I mean, who could be attributed to a group that's showing up with flags with swastikas on them? Who would be attributed to a group like that? Do you have any idea? Those are the guys that need to be sat down and talked to. Those are the guys I want to talk to. And just ask them, what do you share? What commonalities do you share with a group of people who laid men, women, and children down in the forests of Poland and lined their soldiers up to shoot their heads off? And they did so for hours and days at a time, in a slow and systematic extermination of people. And then I have to ask them the same question I ask of the radical Muslims. What are they doing here in this nation? You talk about freedom, you talk about liberty. It doesn't work under a swastika. It doesn't work under the flag of ISIS, the black flag of ISIS. And who did the alternative right look like yesterday? Whatever they are, the alternative right. I don't even want to call them by that. They're just a different version of thug, right? And they were a very weak version of thug, by the way. But what did that version of thugs look like yesterday? I guarantee you, the same weak little monster. The same weak little creature. I can't even give them the name monster because monster implies that they have some power or something. The same weak-minded individual who thought it'd be the right thing to do by driving that car into that crowd. Who do they look like this morning? That same person, that same weakling, I'm sure, weeks ago, months ago now, whatever it was telling people with self-righteous indignation that these people, these Muslims have to go. Look what they're doing in London. Look what they're doing in London by mowing people down in a truck on a bridge. I can guarantee you. But we're getting to a point where it's justifying. We're justifying death. It's a scary, scary boundary. You know, you can even say that a little violence, a little fighting, a little knocking people upside the head pales in comparison to the justification of murder. Even though, and I will make no excuses for either side, but even though we've seen violence on the progressive side or the Antifa side or whatever you want to call them guys, thugs, same thing. Thugs, different affiliation. Right? Same affiliation. Or different affiliation, but the same mindset. We're going to brutalize people. We're going to bully people. You're not standing up for anything. That's not how you do it. It's not 1901 anymore. It's not 1901. Do you want my take on the statue? Here's my take on the statue. Don't forget, I'm a Yankee, okay? I'm a Yankee. We won. But I want to tell you my take on the statue. It's my take on everything. It's my take on everything. Why aren't we voting? Why aren't we voting? It's very simple. If we have people impassioned, and this is for the leaders out there, these mind-numbed leaders who are out with women on Twitter, whatever else they could be doing, laundering your money, hiding your money, putting it away for their retirement and their kids' college while you struggle night and day to make it. Struggle night and day to make it work. And then you have to live with this news. This all comes back to leadership. You can't tell me it doesn't come back to leadership. You cannot tell me this doesn't come back to weak leaders who are telling the nation how they feel on Twitter, like a teenage girl. But you want my stance? My stance on every statue, on every monument, and every street, and every boulevard? It's a vote. We are a democracy. But you see, they want to forfeit that too. They want to both sides. Both of these radical sides want to forfeit the democracy. Don't forget about that. One radical side wants libertarian. Want to be libertarians. Libertarian. No rules, no laws. No more laws. Well, here's this thing, libertarian. This group can come and tip your fucking statue right over, okay? And that's the end of it. Goodbye. Adios. And the other side, what do they want? They want communism. They want socialism. Give me something for free. Give me something for free because the world is a mean place and it's hard and it makes me feel bad and I can't win no matter what I do because I'm up against this and that and the white system has oppressed me. How about we take the democratic path down the middle? The path that's made us the greatest nation in the world. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if people cry about slavery. I don't care if people cry about whatever is going on in the nation right now. I don't care. I don't care. You look through history and you see what we've done, what we have accomplished, what we have done to change the world, the inventions, everything. The greatest nation in the world is the greatest nation that you will ever see. You listening right now will never see anything better than this nation. That's a promise. That's a promise. I don't care if we build a spaceship that takes us to another world. You'll find out that this is the greatest place there is. And that is because of democracy. So the right way to handle this thing is to have a vote. We know we have throngs of people who have to take umbrage with memorials. Right? We know that we have throngs of people who feel that monuments are affecting their daily life. They're affecting their ability to be successful in the nation. They're affecting them in such a profound way that they want them removed. And then we have... See, here's the real story behind the monuments, in my opinion. What's the real story? The real story is this. It's merely fuel for a fire that burns on many different fronts for many different reasons. What a monument can be is a focal point. It can be a focal point for a group on one side to cry and a group on the other side to cry. Right? They're taking away my life. They're taking away my heritage. They're taking away they're letting my family die. Whatever it is. But it can all be focused on something like a monument, right? Hey, whatever. Put the ballots out, idiots. Idiot leaders. Charlottesville fool. Mike, whatever your name is. Mike Tweety. Tweety Bird up there in Charlottesville. Put the ballots out, moron. Instead of letting people get run over by cars and have riots and protests every other week about this. How about we come to a solution? How about instead of us sitting around and boiling over the condition of our nation, how about we run into some solutions here? This is a democracy. We vote on things. We have two groups of people in this state that are highly impassioned. They are highly... Have a vote. Idiots. Come out. Don't tell people about it on Twitter. Come out on a news conference and tell them we're going to vote on the monuments. Period. Period. Vote on them. We're going to vote on the Confederate monuments. They're going to go into a museum somewhere. They're not going to be shattered and crumbled. That's stupid. It's a waste of resources. It's an idiotic thing to destroy history. It's a good way to wind up in shackles again. If you want to wind up chained and in shackles again, whether you're black or white, a good way to do that is to erase your history. It's very simple. It might hurt your feelings. It might make you feel bad. But I can tell you, if you erase it, then you'll fall right back into the same pattern. Some charismatic leader will come back, lock you down. But have a vote. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? More death? It's very simple. The people of the state of Virginia need to have a vote. And it has to be smarter than a populist vote. Right? It has to be smarter than that. This is where the voting system has to be modified, like I've been talking about for a year now. Since Donald Trump was on his way up in the ranks And I came to the conclusion that the age of the presidency is over. It's dead. It's dead. You can't tell me otherwise when I look at a man like this as our president in a nation of 300 million people, where many of them are great people. The age of the president is over. The age of the vote and the age of democracy and the age that man lives and dies by his consequences is upon us. It has to be. If it's not, then it's over. Then it's all over. We're just going to devolve into chaos like you've never seen. Like you witnessed yesterday. So that's the deal. That's the answer. Vote. Imagine that. Imagine that. We let the people have what they want. Not everyone's going to be happy, folks. Either enough people in this vote are going to say that they want the monuments around, or enough are going to say that they don't. And that's all. That's the end. The people have spoken. You've been outvoted. What can you do? You have to be, even as a loser in the nation, you have to be happy about the fact that you get the chance to vote, and the chance to vote on issues like these. And sometimes that goes your way and sometimes it doesn't. And when those things come down, or if they come down, or if they don't come down, then that's when you protest and when you get your complaints out on paper. You get your complaints out, and maybe they hold another vote, maybe not. I don't know. I'm too upset about this whole thing to come up with your solution right now. See, because there's a difference in people in this world right now. There are people like me, and there are lots of us who go through our daily lives and we see things we don't agree with, we see things that we don't appreciate, we see things that make us upset. And we remedy that underneath of a barbell. We remedy that behind a keyboard. We remedy that with great success. We remedy that with great effort and creation. And we take these things that make us mad and that make us stumble on the path of life, and we transform them into something amazing. Right? That's a productive individual. You go through history and you look at some of the most productive people. Most of them have gone through some sort of hell or another. But then there's a whole new swath of people. And I don't know if the Black Death would have got them. I don't know if some sort of plague or some sort of warring nation would have taken them out. But they're here. We've protected them. We've kept them here. And when I say them, I mean the swath of people who can't deal with opposition whatsoever. There's a great many people who have no capacity to deal with opposition. And that's what we're dealing with in the country right now. That's what we're dealing with in the country right now. And it's a hard call. Do we appease these people? I don't think we can appease. I think we have to treat everyone fairly and equally, right? That's what we always hear about, equally. Well, an equal treatment is you've got to get to work. You've got to make something. You've got to produce something. You've got to do something with your life. You have to be productive. You have to be successful, because you'll be miserable otherwise. And you'll spend your whole life poking a finger at someone who held you down or held you back or did you wrong. You'll pinpoint one moment in your life where you can say, if only this had went this way, I'd have been a great person. If only this had went this way, I wouldn't have been a loser. No, some people are just losers. And they don't get off their ass to do what they need to do to get better. And you can't blame that on anyone. And I looked into that crowd on both sides yesterday, and I saw those losers looking back. I saw these guys, right, with shields on the right side. And I looked at them as they stood there trying to be defenders of something. They truly believed they were defending something yesterday. And I looked at them, I said to myself, look at these bags of meat. That's what they looked like to me. Bags of meat in polo shirts with hate signs. And I looked to the other side, and I saw the exact same thing. Bags of meat. Bags of meat with one issue or another, one complaint or another, that all led back to their own life and their own shortcomings. And that's what's running our engine right now. That's what's driving our engine. That's what drove a Dodge Charger over a person and hurt 19 people. It's over. It's got to be over now. It has to end now. My book couldn't be more prescient. It couldn't. The idea of what a neighbor is could not be more prescient. I'm not trying to be Jesus Christ here. I'm just trying to tell you that we have to think about what John Donne said. What John Donne wrote all those years ago is what we are losing. It's slipping away one letter at a time. Slowly. You wonder to yourself, right? In all the writings and all the talk about martial law, what do you always hear from the skeptics? Martial law has to be instituted by our soldiers, our people, our neighbors. So what's to be scared of? Well, let me tell you. In the same way that if you go to the poultry factory and you see that on a daily basis a person has to slit the throat of a chicken who's hung upside down on a conveyor belt, and you slice necks for a living, the value of that chicken and the value of that neck goes way down in a couple weeks. Doesn't take long. You're not going home crying every night about it. If we erupt into a nation, listen to me very carefully here, folks. This is a thought that comes to me on a walk at about 6 a.m. as the woods begin to light up. The pit bulls begin to tire out. And, I'm just getting warmed up, baby. I'm going to be at the gym later. I've got a lot to burn. I've got a lot of wick to burn today. But if we let this nation devolve into what we saw yesterday, on a regular basis, where enforcements and reinforcements have to be sent in over and over again, and people have to be shot in order to keep other people safe, it will not take long before the American public begins to be looked upon as the chicken on the conveyor belt. Do you understand what I'm telling you? A job is a job. And when you do that job enough, and if you have to do that job because people give you no other choice, because cars need to be stopped before they run into people, men need to be shot before they shoot more people. If this is what we devolve into, then I can tell you right now, martial law will fit very nicely. It will fit like a Lego brick on top of our society, and it will crush us. And you won't even believe it. You'll look back at Fort Sumter in Charlottesville, and you'll say to yourself, you don't know what Fort Sumter is, look it up. Fort Sumter in Charlottesville, and you'll say to yourself, how did this all happen? How did our neighbors pin us down? Why are we being held at gunpoint in our own nation? Why do we have a curfew in our own nation? And they'll be tweeting about it all the while. And I tell you this because this is the reality, folks. This is the reality. We're at an incredible crossroads in this nation right now, where you have to ask yourself about any man's death. And it's like John Donne said, this is how you must live through these hard times. This is how you must live through the times ahead of us. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind. That is not to say that an enemy should not be killed if he puts people at threat or puts people at risk. But it means that the loss of human life should always diminish you. And it should be our last resort. You should not be showing up to rallies with death on your mind. We're losing. We're losing if that's the case. We're losing if that's the case. Do you understand? Do you understand what that means? The book will be out in October. I'm not using this event to sell a book. I'm just telling you. The quickest way to buzzsaw this and to slice this malignant tumor out of the nation is to build communities of people who don't look like each other but help each other. Communities of people who don't agree with each other but help each other. Communities of people who get along because any man's death diminishes me. And because they're civil. And because they understand it's the right thing to do. And because they understand that they live in the greatest nation on the planet. And I can tell you how to do that. And I can tell you that there's going to be people. There's going to be people in your communities that aren't going to join your group. There's going to be people in your communities who probably belong at those rallies. You got to live with that too. But right now, this is the problem. The good people, the people who make the nation work, have no voice. They have no voice. There's no voice for the guy who gets up and goes to work every day and does the right thing and raises his kids not to hate people. He doesn't sit his kids down and tell them that this person is bad because of this, or that white people are bad because they've done this in the past, and cops are bad because they've... No. There's people who raise their children to take everything one case at a time. They teach them to have an analytical mind and to understand any man can be a threat and any man can be a gift to you. So what do I say to end this thing? We saw a nightmare yesterday, a real one. A real one that many people have had, that many people have written about. The beginning of something terrible in this modern age. The type of thing that makes radical Islam lick their lips and sit back and smile and fill the ranks yet again and wait for a time when the great nation, the great Satan, is just weakened by its own people killing one another. We saw a nightmare yesterday. And going forward, there's but one answer. And it's about decibels. It's the fact that we cannot let the voice of the real people of America, the yous, the I's, the people who do the right thing every day, the people who love everyone and understand everyone in this nation is a unique case that needs explaining and understanding, that can only be got through conversation. How do you expect to understand a single human being without a conversation and an understanding of their start or their beginning and what they've been through to get to where they are today? There's no way you can understand a being as complex as a human if you do not go through that same sort of inspection. So it's up to you, it's up to me, it's up to everyone that you know that's worth a damn to make our voices loud, to make the voice of this idea that people are unique. They don't need to be given awards for being unique. They don't need to be given free things because they're unique. But we cannot allow our voice to be drowned out by things like what happened yesterday, by things like what's been happening in this nation for a year now. We cannot allow the voice of the real Americans to be drowned out. Now, what is a real American? I'm not going to go into it. You know it. You know it when you see it. You know what it is. It's a person who doesn't need a bumper sticker to accept people. It's a person who doesn't need a sign in their front yard or a flag to understand people, to accept people. It's also a person who doesn't need a flag or a color-coded card to understand when they don't agree with you. Right? The thing about being American is that we have the right to agree and disagree. We have the right to agree and to disagree. But we also have brains that allow us to find common ground. We have brains to find common ground. And a tree just fell in the woods. A tree just fell in the woods. Giant. It's a giant tree. What I'm going to tell you is that that's my curtain call. I'm going to go with nature. I'm going to go with nature and tell you that that's my curtain call. A giant oak tree just fell in the woods somewhere. I heard it. And I saw the leaves fall in the distance. And I will tell you that that's something. That's metaphorical. That signifies something. Something great fell in this nation yesterday. And it's up to us to get it back. Don't be drowned out. Don't be drowned out by the media. Don't be drowned out by the clowns behind flags and signs. Don't be drowned out. Remember what Shakespeare said about those who protested too much.